In this video, I'm going to be modeling for you the division strategy of expanded notation. So as a reminder, division is the separating of equal groups. So multiplication was the joining of equal groups. Division is just the separating of those equal groups. For these examples and the examples we're doing right now in class, there are no remainders. So every group has the same amount and there's nothing left over. Later in fourth grade, we will get to remainders, but right now we have perfect division. Also, I want to point out that this strategy might look very similar to the standard way that we adults do division and how they're doing it in maybe fifth grade and definitely in middle school and high school. But this strategy actually shows the real numbers behind the division strategy. And so I'll talk a little bit about that in this first example. But let's get started and I'll show you 3 different examples. One thing I like to remind myself is the expanded notation, we are expanding up and down. We're kind of growing up and down. So I want to make sure I leave myself room to do that. So I want room to go up and down, and you'll see why. So let's get started. I always like to kind of make up my own little story about what's going on just so I can like give a visual and it's not just numbers. So we just always are making up little stories in our classroom. So this first one, let's just say that there's 81 pop cubes and 3 students want to share them so that they can all build something and they have enough cubes. So there's 81. So instead of saying, okay, 1 for you, 1 for you, 1 for you, they can say, well, let's see if we can all take 10 first. So we're going to look at our tens place, and we have 8 tens. All right, so we have these 3 people wanting the cubes. Well, if each of the 3 people get 10 cubes, that's 30 cubes. But if each of the 3 people take 20 cubes, or 2 tens, that's 60 cubes. If each of the 3 people take 30 or 3 tens, that's 90. Okay, that's too far. So we're going to go back here and we're going to say, okay, you 3, each of you take 2 tens. Each of you take 20 cubes. Now, in the standard way that us adults and older children do it is we would just write a 2 here. But that's really not what's going on. They're not taking 2 cubes. They're taking 20 cubes. So it was 3 groups of 20 that was just taken. And that was 60 cubes are now gone from our big pile of 81. So if I take away those 60 because 20, 20, 20, then there are 21 cubes left. Okay? So in the regular way, a lot of times you would just have done 3 times 2 is 6, subtracted them, bring it down. So you're going to see a lot of similarities, but this is what actually happened. 2 cubes weren't taken, it was 20 cubes. 3 groups of 20, and that was 60, not 6. So this is the real math going on, and it actually gives a better understanding of what's really happening and what the real numbers are that are being used. So now we have 21 cubes. Now, some of you know that your math facts are 3 groups of 7 gives me 21. If you don't know that, then you would need to keep going here because this is 3, 6, 9. So you would say 3 groups of 4 is 12. 3 groups of 5 is 15. 3 groups of 6 is 18. And then 3 groups of 7 is 21. So 3 groups of 7 is 21. 3 groups of 7 is all the way down 21. We've all gotten our cubes. So we each got 20 the first time, 7 the second time. So 81 divided by 3 is 27. Each of us got 27, 27, 27. And we were able to do that by grabbing groups of 20 first and then groups of 7 instead of everyone taking 1 all the way until all 81. All right, so now we're going to do another example. It's going to be a 3-digit dividend, and you'll see a little bit of difference going on right away. So for this example, let's just say that there's 592 cubes, and 8 people now want to get in on the sharing of the cubes. So let's say here are 8 people. And they're saying, okay, we have a lot of cubes. Let's see if we can all take 100 cubes first. Well, we only have 500. We're only in the 500s. We would need to be in the 800s for us all to take 100. So that's not going to work. Let's see if we can all take some groups of 10 first. Otherwise, we're going to do 1 at a time, all the way to 592. So let's see if we can take some groups of 10 first. Well, if we look here, if everyone takes 10, that's 80. If everyone takes 20, it's 160. if everyone takes, if everyone takes 30, 240, move right over here. If everyone takes 40, that is 320. I'm trying to get as close to the 59 tens, the 590. If everyone takes 50, that's 400. I'm getting closer. Sorry, I'm running out of space here. If everyone takes 60, it's 480. Getting closer. If everyone takes 70, it's 560. If everyone takes 80, 8 tens, that's 640. Okay, that's too far. So we're going to go back to this one more time. Okay, everyone takes 70 cubes. So 8 people are going to take 70 cubes, and that means now 560 cubes are gone. After every person, the 8 people, take 70 cubes, 560 cubes are gone. So now there are 32 cubes left. All right, 32 cubes left. So now the 8 people, they want some more cubes if they can get them. So I can either say, oh, I know that 8 groups of 4 is 32. If I don't know that, I can look back and see, well, did I use anything similar? Oh, there it is. That looks like 32 at the placeholder. So if I take those placeholders away, it's 8 groups of 4 is 32. 8 groups of 4 is 32. And there are no cubes left. So each person the first time got 70, the second time got 4. So of the 592 cubes, the 8 people got 74 cubes to use. Okay? So what you notice different here is here we could do groups of 10 right away, and then in ones here we couldn't do hundreds. So we had to ungroup them into tens and then do tens and then ones. Okay? So that was how these are kind of a little bit different. I'm going to do one more example here for you. Let me erase these so I have some room for my next problem. So this time, since I have a 4-digit dividend, I'm going to start with the thousands, and then I'm going to see if I can give some thousands away. So here I have 4 people, and they are wanting some cubes, but this time we have 2,524 cubes. Okay, now I know that might seem like a lot, but I'm just making up a little story to go along, to try to visualize. So I'm trying to pass out these 2,524 cubes to these 4 people. So let's first see if they can all take 1,000 cubes. Well, I would need to be in the 4,000s, and I'm only in the 2,000s. That's not going to work. So let's see if they can all take 100, or maybe a couple hundreds. Well, if each of them, if the 4 people take 100, that's 400. I can have 2,500s. Let's see. And I could skip a few if I wanted to, or I could just keep going. If the 4 people take 200s, that's 800. If the 4 people take 300, that's 1,200, because I have those 2 placeholders. If the 4 people take 400, that's 1,600. If the 4 people take 500, I'm in the 2,000s, I'm getting closer. If the 4 people take 600, that's 2,400. And if the 4 people take 700, that is 2,800. Okay, that's too far. I don't have 2,800, but I do have 2,400. So if the 4 people take 600, that's 2,400. 4 groups of 600. 4 groups of 600 is 2,400. Okay. Now, if you were doing the standard, you would say 4 goes into 25 6 times, but 6 cubes weren't being given. It was actually 600. But that's not really talked about. They just say 6. But that's not really where the number comes from. It's 600. 4 groups of 600 make 2,400. So now, after I gave away all of those cubes, I gave away 2,400 of them because 600, 600, 600, 600, 2,400 cubes are gone already. I only have 124 to look at now. So now I'm going to look here and see. First, can I use any of these to help me? Nope, none of these can really help me. with this one. So I'm going to use what I did here, and I'm going to do it here. So now I'm going to do tens. I just did hundreds by 600. Now I'm going to do tens. So if the 4 people take 10 more, that's 40. If the 4 people take 20 more, that's 80. If the 4 people take 30 more, that's 120. Ooh, that's really close. Let me try one more just to see. Oh, that's 160, too far. So I'm going to say that the 4 people take 30 more cubes. They're going to say, oh, I have 600. Let me take 30 more. So 4 groups of 30 is 120. Okay, so I just gave away 120 more cubes by saying 30, 30, 30, 30. So now they have 630 each. 630 each. So now when I subtract, there's only 4 cubes left. So 4 groups of 1 is 4. So I gave away all my cubes. Each person got 600 the first time, 30 the second round, and 1 more. That's 631 cubes for each person. So this is expanded notation for division. It looks a lot like the standard algorithm that we use as adults, and that the only way that we use, but it actually uses the actual numbers of what's going on and how these numbers work together. So use this strategy when you're dividing and when you're practicing.